I think let's first start with our audience as participants who are here, and then I'll jump to the Facebook Live to see what's going on there. So from the audience, it's your turn now to interact with our panelists, and let's hear from you questions as to, you know, what you want to raise in regards to what you've heard said here already. So let's get started with, we have someone?
Yep.
Okay, right up front. Jasmine, introduce yourself, Jasmine. I happen to know you, but introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jasmine, and I am, I don't know which part I say, I run a nonprofit called Creative Exchange Lab, and for the last 3-4 years, we've been working on divided cities, and I just want to really, as you can tell from my accent, I'm not from here, so it just helps with bringing an added perspective, because if you're not from somewhere, you're free from baggage or making a lot of assumptions and presumptions. So I think I'm going to go and say something about Germany. And what you started, Marquise, was the issue of equity, you know, the fact that, you know, the African American community has never had been offered the opportunity for upward mobility. Now, the reason I wanted to bring the example of Germany, unless a nation, and it's also to what Dylan is saying. Dylan is saying, you know, me being an African American young man, I'm already a threat. Now, if you go to the psychology of that, think about Germany. Unless a nation is ready to acknowledge the shame, you cannot change anything. And a lot of wrong has been done. You could acknowledge it rather than try to suppress it by suppressing a whole group of people. Unless that happens and everybody contributes to that acknowledging, then the healing can start. Now, about paying musicians the same amount and the parts of town you said, you mentioned it used to be like that and it's like that. For someone like me, the reason I came here was actually about a research I was doing on urban decline in post-industrial cities. Really boring to go on about here right now, but I had no idea about the racist element that's going on coming from Europe. And it only opened my eyes open after living here about, I could kind of feel something, but obviously you don't see it immediately, because what we are taught at school in Europe, Dr. King came, things changed. So you don't expect this.
Right.
You don't, unless, and nobody knows, a lot of people don't know what's really going on, because the media, you know, there is just, so one of my recommendations is try to make connection to beyond these borders. I want to mention Ferguson. That shaming went viral. That's why things had to start. Something had to happen. Had it been contained yet again, you know, it wouldn't have gone far. Right. So it was the shaming. The shaming is the threat. A lot of people don't want this, but there are a few people who are controlling so much. You know, a lot of people in this room feel it. So we all need to work on a lot of things. I better shut up, because I can go on further.
Awesome. Thank you. That's the truth.
Okay.
Well, real
actually,
quick,
may I just touch one thing about East St. Louis? East St. Louis. I want to say something about East St. Louis. East St. Louis is what I've been working on. We've been working on for the last 12 years. So I came, the arch grant, and all the history, blah, blah. Okay, it's great. And with the kind of, I'm an architect and urbanist. When I accidentally drove over there working with the church, and I came across Miles Davis's house, Catherine Dunham, Jackie Joyner Kersey, you know, like within few blocks, you had all these giants. And what did it look like? And all the investment. Now we've been working on, we're doing a lot to just put it out there in the world. That people from all over the world would want to come see this, because that's the real deal. You can't get that anywhere. You can get that architecture, get a good architect who's been doing the extension, and it's important. I'm not trying to undermine, but the millions and millions that get invested in these kind of things, a fraction of it, more than a fraction, should get invested in celebrating their heritage right across the river, all the way around MLK Street. So, anyway.
All right. Awareness. Okay, do we have a question over here, Allison?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Hi. Excuse me, please, and thank you. Hi to Dr. Rosalind, the panelists, KDHX, the stage for this platform, and all the attendees. So our contribution efforts regarding our love for music, let's think of the word love before we think of the word music. And then let's spell the word love backwards, and that spells evolve. So when we think of evolving, we have technology, education, and literature. Through the permanency of blues, then there is the roots. But to evolve and still have that permanency, we think our place as our contribution efforts would be to have a place inside of our homes, to speak of what we actually love and our passion. If it is for music, then our change comes in having these conversations inside our homes, and then it'll spread outside of there. So the advertisement or the advertising of our love for blues starts inside of our homes, and that is our contribution to spread. Just a comment and food for thought. I am Lauren, and I'm a leader. So to keep in mind that throughout our humanity, we do have leaders and we have followers, but we need leaders to stand up, take our part, and make that change so that our followers would then take the path of those footsteps to incorporate their contribution as well, and that is for love to evolve as it is right now through technology, education, STEM, awareness, and all these other things that we are heightening ourselves to be a part of. Thank you for your listening ears.
Allison, do we have one up front? We have a couple of them up front, right here?
Yeah.
And then up here. Okay.
How you guys doing? I'm Art Pollard. I'm Dylan's dad. I'm a local musician here from East St. Product from East St. Louis, Lincoln Senior High. I've been on the music scene a long time, and I just wanted, my question is to her. And I know you don't know me, but with social media, with Facebook, I follow a lot of local musicians, white and black, because I love music. I noticed you're one of the younger generations, although you're probably 10 years younger than me. You're one of the younger female generations. You know, we got your Kim Masseys, you got your Roland Johnsons, and all. I talk to Marquise a lot, and we talk among each other sometimes, and we always say that the guard has changed. The guard has changed. Absolutely. Right? You know, everything's changing. The guard has changed. Rap music, all that stuff. And here in St. Louis, the blues scene, I've been out there for 25, almost 30 years playing, out of high school, out of college, and the guard has changed. And my question to you is, you are far in between. You don't see too many females around there after the other women, and you know they in their 50s and 60s and stuff like that. What are you planning on doing to spread your gift and your talent throughout the community? Because all you see, like you say, the Atlanta housewives of Atlanta, they get influenced, they see cable TV, they want to rap, they want to do neo soul. Ain't nothing wrong with that. But it's a whole lot of it, and that's why I told Dylan, I said, man, believe it or not, the blues scene is wide open. For the last 4 years, I've been working with him. I got a 13-year-old prodigy drummer at home too, his brother. A lot of people were shocked when I was in the blues museum, like, where he come from? I just surprised him. I said I work with him, and I try to keep him humble, and try to expose them to some of everything. Gospel, they sing, the Dylan, he can switch gears and sing gospel and blow you away. The whiners and all that stuff, and hold a whole gig down. He can switch the gears again and start singing jazz. He can switch gears again, do the Earth, Wind, and Fire, tribute, all that stuff. We did that for the last 4 years. I just recently introduced the blues to him, last March. I saved that last for a reason, because I know when you're singing the blues, like Marquise them say, you got to live it. You got to get your heart broken. You got to be in love, you know. And he haven't really got to that point yet. He haven't got to that point yet. Right, that I'm aware of. But you have a very nice voice, and I like your approach. I like your style. If you can spread it around into our community, our white sisters, brothers and sisters, the black brothers, they need to hear that.
Yeah, well,
they need to hear that.
That's what I was telling you guys about earlier about going to these schools. And my son is in the choir at Walker Elementary in Hazelwood. It's actually the Hazelwood West District. And I plan on doing some stuff with their school. I mean, you know, again, education. If I go to these schools and I'm showing these young ladies, you know, how to carry this as young ladies, and, you know, whatever voice you have, use it. I don't care if you're good at speaking. I don't care if you're good at writing, singing, or just looking. It doesn't matter. Do what you do and do your best at it. And I'm just gonna try to stay in a lot of these schools. Help them with their music programs, their chorus programs, and whatever it is we do with the band. You know, we do a lot of stuff because some of my band is from Festus, so we go down there a lot, and I meet a lot of young ladies from that area, and I try to encourage them to do what it is they love, and as long as they're not hurting anybody, you know, and as long as it's positive. You know how you guys watch TV and you click the TV and it's like, oh, here's the stupid housewives of whatever. And like, oh, let me change that channel. We have to change our frequency. If you don't like the station you're looking at, change it. If you don't like the way your child's behaving, you can change that. If you don't like the way your child brings home these grades that are not good enough, you have to change that. You can't expect that kid to go to school and just be like, oh, well, my mom says I have to change that. No, well, what else did she tell you? You know, you have to educate. And for me, that's the only way I can do it. I can sing whatever song, I can sing the blues for the rest of my life. If nobody's listening, it's not going to change anything.
If you change the environment, it's amazing what you will cultivate. Yeah. Change the environment, it's amazing what you will cultivate.
Yeah. Okay, we have a couple of hands, one up here, one over there, and one in the backs, and one on the side. So Allison, it's up to you.
Thank you. First of all, I just have a question for all of you up here, and then also it's a question for everybody in the room also, because people tend to quote Martin Luther King a lot, okay? But how many people actually have read his speech, The Other America? Mm-hmm. Okay? If you haven't, you need to, okay? But that's what brings me to my question now, okay? For you, and I call y'all young guns, because every time y'all talk, y'all giving me goose pimples up here. Because really, at your ages now, at my age, I didn't get a chance to learn any of the things that I've learned now. I got all that stuff in my 30s, okay? Which really made me mad about our education system. So what I'm asking you now is, from that speech, what do you want the white community to take from this that will help us evolve the future of the blues?
Well, I think, okay. Think about the 2016 election. White women kind of failed the country. I mean,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh.
you know, the black women always been there with you, have always been your friend. I always tell Angie, I said, don't bring feminism in our home, because we never told you couldn't vote as a black man. I didn't tell you couldn't vote. I didn't tell you that you didn't matter, that my name need to go first and your name need to go second. I didn't tell you that. When we was together in slavery, we was doing the thing like it was supposed to be. But then we get on the flip side of reality, going back to that speech, the abandonment of the white community at critical moments in history, it sets us back sometimes 10 and 15 years. We got Barack Obama, and then it was like the damn country went mad. All of a sudden, these suppressed feelings come up to the forefront. My grandmother would tell me, I got a very old family. And so when they was telling me these stories, I'm like, man, oh my goodness, you mean this happened to our people? But then you see what was going on, the abandonment of the white community. When we stand up for something, y'all stand with us. Do like FDR said, if you really want to make America great, institute what was that a pay for all, you everybody get a damn check every month. This is one of the wealthiest nations on the earth. We need health care. So then if you do that, okay, you got health care, you got a little money in your pocket, you now can find you a decent place to stay. You don't need, everybody can afford $1,000 to stay in a one-bedroom apartment. You see? Going back to the redlining of the community. White folks have to stand up. Y'all may get mad when we say it. Some of them may be wanting to string us up, but when y'all say it, they're your family. These folks are y'all blood, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, them your people. We can do all we can. We can preach till the sun goes down. We can go into the church. We can say, oh, we do everything the Lord tells us. We would be a radical people. If black folks did everything that was put on us, we'd be radical people. I think that's what Martin Luther King was telling them. I integrated my people into a burning house. Think about that speech he gave the kids at the high school. He said, stop being the first black. Don't strive to be the first black. That's why I didn't post nothing about black history, because all we're going to post is the first black. Well, I want somebody to be the last black. I want to be the last black to ever wake up in the morning feeling like I'm not worth anything. I want to be the last black man that wake up in the morning and feel like I can't protect my family. Then we making strides. Then we making progress. You got to look at America. America's on fire. And we can't put it out. It's up to you guys to put it out. You got to stop voting based on your feeling. Black folks, we always voted based on the popular belief of what liberal white America said, but when liberal white America started failing, what did Martin Luther King say? He said, I think the black folks can get with liberal white people. We can put a black man in the White House. We did it with Barack Obama. We should have did it with Bernie Sanders. We should have took that same movement. Because Bernie Sanders did to Hillary Clinton what Barack Obama ultimately did, just destroyed her image. When you put the truth up, my grandma used to tell me, when you put the truth in the river, you put the lie in the river 3 days before the truth, and the truth still catch up with it, because the truth travels right.
My grandpa said.
I feel like,
Okay,
so
ahead, Dylan.
I feel
and
like
then we get to some other questions. Go ahead.
if you take the layer of hair and the layer of skin off, we all bleed the same exact way. We all still have the same exact nerves. We all still feel the same exact way about things. Why do we have to treat each other differently? If we literally are the same exact person, we have to be together, or divided we will fall. I mean, it literally says that. I mean, does it not? It's together we stand, or divided we fall. So why don't we try to stand together instead of negatively impacting each other, you know? And it kind of like irritates me. That's why I kind of like think about, I know everybody stays on social media arguing about, oh, this, and that. And I'm like, I don't even go on social media for real like that, because I know it's always some drama about something, about some kind of racial slurs or racial politics or anything like that. I know it's all happening in the world. I'm not blind to it, but I'm saying it's not. I'm focusing on showing love to the world instead of bringing hatred towards everybody. You know, I don't care how mean you're gonna treat me. I will be as nice to you as possible, and I will. You won't think of me. You won't think of a black person being angry all the time, being mad at the world, being mad at each other. I don't want to be a statistic in the world.
No, but we're not gonna sell our birthright. You remember what Esau did in the Bible? When he come up to Jacob, he said, "Brother, I'm hungry." Sold his birthright to his brother. When his Isaac got ready to put the blessing down on him, he said, "Wait a minute." He said, "Are you sure this Esau?" Jacob come stole the blessing because Esau sold the birthright. And then look at all the confusion that you see follow. They want black folks to sell our birthright for this popular belief, like this whole, I got to get racial, minority. No, because then you start fading us out. If you don't talk black, speak black, and black folks who are black look black and project that image, then they'll rope us in 20 years from now. It'll just be the community of color. And we still will not have addressed the underlying problem of the black community, because the black community is the heart of America. Everything is built on top of the backs of us. When we sitting in this room today about what? A black story, black struggle, black people. We're not sitting in the room asking, how could the white rock and rollers who made all that money, all they could do is come by and buy a headstone, pay $2,000 or $3,000 for a funeral for little Walter. I even had somebody tell me, "Oh, well, Marquise, think of if it wasn't for them, nobody would know the blues." We were playing the blues here in America. I don't care if Europe never known the blues existed. I don't care if they never known the blues existed. We still would have the blues, and we still would be singing the blues just like this. I don't care if you go back, and then we talk about, you know, we got to really talk about this. These Confederate fellas that's inside the blues world, that they believe in this flag, the rebel spirit. And they saw Marquise, this is what we was doing down there. I listened to them and said, "Oh, you know, everybody got their heritage. A lot of folks died for this, and we were making strides on trying to let the black family move out of slavery, and we were trying to do." I said, "Brother, it didn't make no difference whether the United States and Confederate States of America, we were going to be in this position until you folks make the difference. You got to tell these folks, look, we got to do something for these black folks. Do something for these black folks the same way they be giving the money to Jimmy Swaggart. Huh? Joel Osteen. Did you see how they shamed that fool during the hurricane? And I'm serious. We don't want to hold the folks supposed to be the gatekeepers of peace, love, and harmony. They say nothing while America has been warring for the last 18 years in the Middle East nonstop. None of the pastors come out and say, "Well, wait a minute, America, hold on." That's why they killed Martin Luther King. You cannot interfere in our foreign policy. You're not going to tell us what to do domestically and then tell us to be an angel in our foreign policy too. Oh, no. So then look at what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a man now in this office. He knows nothing. He knows absolutely nothing. I can give my son $100. And if whatever my son wanted to do in life costs $50, my son could pay $50 and become whatever he wants to in life and still have that extra money left over, and he still would not have learned no lesson in life. And this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with folks who have got generational wealth passed down from generation. Black folks ain't did nothing but pass down a funeral bill. Pass down the sweet tea recipe. Pass down the fried chicken recipe. Y'all passing down hundreds of thousands of dollars, homes to your kids. They don't even got to worry about buying a house when they're 25 years old. We were listening to, was it Dave Ramsey? Young girl called in and said, my grandfather left me $600,000. I said, what? I looked over at Angela. I said, you know, I never dated a white woman. I might need to find that shit. All right, we're going in on that laugh.
All right. We have questions.
I got one here, and then I'll get you.
Okay. We have one right up here, and then we have one. I think I see Sharon pulling. Okay. All right.
So for like a younger generation, because everybody here is, no offense, like older than me. So
What'd you say?
nothing. So how would you wake up in a younger generation? You know, because next time this comes around, how would there be more 20-year-olds or 17-year-olds, or how do you make the truth like mainstream or make it look cool?
Education. This young man right here, education. Again, I stress education.
One of my goals that I wanted to do when I started doing blues is that I wanted to make something that young people will be proud of. And Marquise is also doing the same exact thing. Believe it or not, he is doing the exact same thing. He makes me proud to be black and to be talented, you know. And so it's something, and I wanna make any young person feel that exact same thing. You know, I want them to know that it's not just rap, it's not just drugs out there, it's not just having a gun. That's not cool. Having an education, going to college, graduating from high school, paying for your own stuff, working for your own stuff. I mean, that's what makes me feel cool to myself. It makes me proud to be who I am. You know, so I mean, like, and I want people to be able to look up at me and say, I want to be like that when I get older. That's what I want to. That's what I want to do. I want to make sure they know that, hey, it's cool to not. It's cool to not be hanging around people that smoke all the time. It's cool to not hang around people that drink all the time. It's cool to not hang around people that gang bang all the time. It's cool to not do that. You know, I mean, sometimes being uncool is cool. Sometimes less is more than what you would think. You know, so I mean, that's how I feel about that.
I think one thing that you have to do, I think one thing that you have to do also is one of the blessings that we have here, for one, is the National Blues Museum. That's a blessing. The reason that it is a blessing more than anything is because a lot of our fellow musicians have late nights. They have late night shows. They start at 9:30, 10 o'clock. Yeah. They have these late shows, so that's an excuse or in a valid one that can be said, well, you know, I can't take my son out that late or so. This National Blues Museum has shows on Fridays and Sundays. They start at 7 o'clock. Take your kids to this museum. And I'm not talking, I mean, if you want to take them and walk them through it, absolutely, it's awesome. It's phenomenal. But take them to go see a live show of Marquise. Take them to see a live show of Dylan. Take your daughter to see a live show. Understand that you don't have to wait till 9 and 10 o'clock anymore. That's one of the first things you can do, expose them. We got to expose our future to what we doing. We got to bring them down here and say, hey, I got something that you should see. If my daughter's 10 years old, she loves her uncle. That's one of the reasons, besides my dad, who she loves her dad, she was born a year, right? Literally, she was born the very next year after my dad died, the same month, just 2 weeks before. So she is him. She looks at this man, between my dad and Marquise, this is what she wants to do. She loves it. Because I put that image in front of her. I want her to understand you can do this. You can do whatever you want to do, but you got to put those images in front of them. So bring them down to the museum on a 7 o'clock show to see Marquise Knox. Take your sons out instead of taking them to go, and there's nothing wrong with it from time to time, but instead of taking them going paintballing or laser tagging, something that got to do with guns, take them down to go see a live music show with somebody that's just about his age and showing what they can do. That's going to be amazing to them. It's amazing to them. That's the first thing. The second thing is some of these schools get behind and learn about these blues in the schools program. Marquise do these blues in the schools programs. Dealing on start doing them. You just heard my sister talking about it. Like, our educators that's watching this, or if you know teachers, or if you are teachers, reach out to the St. Louis Blues Society. Reach out to the National Blues Museum. Find me. I do a hip hop to the blues program. Me, Marsha Evans, we did a whole, let me tell you something. We walked into this school district, and we all sat down and came up with this concept. How can we go into a district and talk about the blues and at the same time still let them know about and educate them and tell them about the heritage and not make it boring? Because we all know how we used to be in kids. When we get auditorium time, was time to be out the classroom. Yep. Don't really care about what's going on, but I know I'm out the classroom. I ain't got to do no work for an hour. But, so how can we make create a program to keep their attention for 45 minutes to an hour? Well, use the variables that they sit there and listen to or watch every day. So I came up with hip hop to the blues, because a lot of our kids listen to the radio, they in the car, this is all they hear. They don't get a chance to be exposed to the real music or the real heritage or be outside the boundaries. This is all that they hear is commercial mainstream radio. So I use that to my advantage. I just started growing this, so I was always clean face. But I would go up there and I have a mic, and Marshall would start off, and I would sit right in the crowd with the kids. Some of them would pay attention to me, like, man, he's sitting, who's this dude? He got a microphone. Some of them didn't even pay attention to me. And then after they got done playing the first blues cut, I would stand up and be like, what did you guys just get done playing? Because that's what they're thinking. They're like, man, here we go. My grandma listening to this. What is that? So I was them. What are y'all playing? She told me. And I said, man, I thought we were going to listen to some Soulja Boy. Marsha Evans and the Coalition. I love Marsha and Jimmy. They learned Crank That Soulja Boy, the whole band. And guess what we did? We played Crank That Soulja Boy for them. Do you imagine how they felt? What? We just watched them play a traditional blues tune and then just had them play Crank That Soulja Boy live for them. Live. That woke them up. What the hell? And then we started showing the connections and laying in the layers. Oh, so all these dances they do, hand bone, hand jive.
That's right. right. Hit her with
Connected. If they doing that and they doing the hit the quine, show them like, oh yeah, really? In the stanky leg, I got something for you. And we did the hand jive, hand bone. And we did it live on stage, and guess how many kids came up there and not only hit the quine, but then started doing the hand jive and went home and did it to their grandma. Do you know how that made them? Do you know how their mothers and grandmothers and fathers felt when their 11-year-old child came home and started doing that? Where did you learn that from? School. It was a blues program, and it was this dude named Alonzo. He's almost my age. It was a hip hop to the blues. You just got to create layers. Bring us to the forefront, and we'll teach our brothers and sisters what they need to know. We'll teach them. But you have to invest. Come out and invest in us. Invest in us. And we'll go out here and we'll put the picture so perfect and so crystal. But that's how you keep the future going. That's expose them. Expose them.
And bring a blues festival. I think, all the factions should get together and put a blues festival inside the heart of North City.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Oak Valley, Fairgrounds Park.
I remember Big George would come to Fairground Park and perform every Sunday. Bring his whole PA system, sound, everything. But it'd be a long orange extension cord running from O'Fallon Park across Kossuth over into some old woman house. We getting free electric, 3 or 4 houses coming back into the park. But that's how you do it. You put it dead in the heart of the community. So that in the community say, okay, they feeling for us. Then the kids get to come out and experience live music, but they get to feel the love. It just don't have to be, it used to be the Mayday Parade. Mm-hmm. But so we don't have anything that bring us out to showcase love to each other.
In their own community. It'll make it feel even better if they're in their own community. You corporations, all this money that's being spent, like he just said, invest in the inner city and put a blues festival there, right there before the back to school. I will give them the layers. Do it right before back to school. Give some free haircuts. Give them a whole bunch of book.
Oh, that's enough. Now they got to buy that.
I feel like
that's part of Knox.
Come on, guys.
Entertainment LLC.
Invest.
Okay.
Marty.
We have Sharon over here and Allison, and then Jeremy has someone on this side.
All right. My name is Sharon. Foner. I've been playing music in this town since 1989.
All right.
Some of the greats.
Benny Smith.
Oh wow! I've had the pleasure of playing with some of the greats in this town, and as a black woman playing music, I've had to jump through a bunch of hoops that other people, in particular Caucasians, would not have to jump through. If someone had my resume, the resume that I have currently, they wouldn't have to be looking for work. You feel me? But as a black woman, I feel like I can't rest on my laurels. I have to go out and educate myself and learn something new every day so I can make myself viable enough to make money in this industry. Okay, that's one. And two, the language of racism is so embedded in America that when you say minority, look up the definition.
Yes, Lord.
Don't use and reinforce the language of racism unknowingly just because you don't know. Look up the meaning of some of these words. You're not understanding how language, English language, enforces unconsciously racism in this country. And that's a big thing. It's been happening for 400 or 500 years. And the language of racism is deeply embedded in America. And that's all I've got to say.
Sharon, before you put the mic down, who are some of the people you have played with? I know you just hinted at it, just so that people can know who this woman is.
Their resume. Talk about their resume.
Wow. Henry Townsend, Johnny Johnson, at the 1996 Blues Festival, Rufus Thomas, Etta Baker at the Sheldon, Sam Carr, the Carr and Lay at the Blues Festival in 97. I played with a bunch of people. But just like I say, I can't afford to rest on my laurels because of who I am. Can't do it.
Thank you, Sharon.
Can I say something before? I know my dad. He told me like this. He said you can pick up an instrument and you won't have to pay for any. He said you won't have to work a day in your life. He said you can literally be sitting down and be singing, and he said you can pretty much get paid for your entire life. I feel like if you bring the children to the people. Like my dad, he showed me some B.B. King, and I was like, "What is this? What is he doing? Like, why am I learning this?" And like, you're gonna get hesitation. I mean, that's just children. Like, I mean, like we hesitate. I mean, we bump heads with our parents all the time. And they know what's best for us. So like, when we just give in and we pretty much listen to it, and we were like, okay, so I'm singing this, and you actually sound good, and you actually are doing good doing it. I feel like you find a gold mine that you didn't even know you had inside of your own house, you know? So, like, I feel like going back to what we were talking about earlier when he was asking what the younger children could do to think that it's cool, I feel like if the parents, although, I mean, it might be weird because, I mean, your parents are showing you music that they used to listen to, but, like, I mean, it's something when you give a child a piece of gold and you just, like, and they see what it's, after they find out what it's actually worth, it can be so dangerous. You can be so threatening to the world, you know? And like, it might be hard for a while, yeah, because I mean, you are a young black man, and sometimes they won't actually take you. Like, honestly, I mean, let's just be honest here. There are most venues that won't actually take you because you're African American still in this culture now. And I feel that you just can't give up. You have to keep going with your child no matter what. You have to keep going and keep going and keep going and just keep pushing them. Because I know that I was one of the ones that always was like hesitant But then I was like, what if I actually do that? What if I actually do learn that song? You know, my dad had to always bribe me with money so I can learn a song, and it always worked. And I just perfected my own work, and you know, and it's just, you just have to just keep going with your child. I mean, like, I know most people give up on certain things. Like, I know a child, I know they're like, oh, they don't want to play piano. You have to keep pushing them. You have to keep showing them that you actually care. You just can't give up halfway through it, because the battle isn't over until they got the gold. You know, I mean, you can keep mining, but you won't find, if you're not finding gold, I mean, you might just have to dig a little deeper, you know? So, I mean, yeah, so.
All right. Okay, I think we have another question here, and I need to hear from Facebook.
Yeah, right
okay.
here.
Thank you.
Very good. Marquise, you remember when we were down at that at Baby Blues concert, and I just want to remind everybody, I called Marquise out that night, and I remind everybody up there, your Black Lives Matter.
Thank you, brother.
Your Black Lives Matter, and until I hear the whole room clap, it's going to be obvious we got a lot of work to do. We didn't hear it that night. I didn't hear it 2 weeks ago when I came here. I'd like folks to get on board, and when you hear Black Lives Matter, at least clap and appreciate. You love their music, or you like their music. I'm not sure how you feel about the people, and like I said last time, when they have to go home and how they get there. That's one problem. The other issue, thanks a lot for everything you brought up. This wonderful lady here from Germany, I'm glad she's over here doing this work. You know, you talk about investment. Look what we've done to the arch. Isn't it beautiful? Clap for that arch. Come on, it's beautiful. But when you stand on them steps and you look across the river, all I can say is, what the hell? The hell's going on with the investment or lack of over there? So maybe that's why we're here about singing the blues, because our country is the blues, until folks with the color in their skin get the same opportunity the rest of us have. We can't reach our potential. I feel as a human being in this country, what we could be, I've failed. Failed because we're so far out down this road. And these beautiful people here, maybe they're better off, sure, some, but they're not where they need to be. And most of us here, if you're not doing anything, have you been to the Black Rep? Have you been to the African Arts Festival? If you're my color and you say no to that, ask yourself why. What are you afraid of? You're afraid to mix, you're afraid to learn. I'll tell you, you start doing that, and your life will be so much fuller and richer, and you'll start to understand that we really can be a people together. And I know I'm a little preachy when I come here, but I love being here, and I just love these folks. And like I said, go down to Clarksdale, damn it. Clarksdale, Mississippi, home of that Delta Blues, and learn more about it and get that too. But anyway, thanks a lot for being here. Thanks, Jeremy. Thanks, everybody, for being here. And thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you, Ivan, brother.
Because it's taken a while to get here. It's taken a while.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Ivan. Marquise.
I want brother to say something.
Okay, that's Marty. Did you want Marty?
Mr.
And
Marty.
we do have some Facebook Live comments and questions that we really need to get to before we wrap up. So go ahead, Marty.
Yes, my name is Marty D. Spikner, and we've been talking about age around here for a long time. So I've been blessed to live 62 years. So the thing is, and survive. And one thing that I hear a lot of is education. And if we don't have education, teaching the young people where blues comes from and everything, we failed in educating people about music, period. And you know, I just want you to take a look at the bottom of your shoes. You ever look at the bottom of your shoes and you see those lines across there? I was part of an organization when I went back to school called AAMI, African American Male Initiative. We went to the Black Rep, and I'm constantly learning about Black history. And what I found out was the reason why you got those lines across your shoes, a man named McCoy, he invented that, a black man invented that, to put those lines across your shoes because people had the bomber's shoes were smooth, and people have major accidents falling off of steps and everything. Until he put that on those shoes, it stopped a lot of people from getting hurt. But the major thing is like education. The Black Education Initiative had been stopped and has been shortened, and until I started learning and getting involved and learning about Black history, it just really opened up my eyes. And another thing is, I passed that on to my kids, and I taught them where the history of music and everything, and one thing that I'm really proud of is my youngest daughter. She goes to a school called Bellarmine University. I have to say university, because if I don't say university, I say college. No, Dad, it's a university, so she'll straighten me out on that. But the major thing is she got involved. She's president of the Black Student Union there. I just heard her on NPR talking about the Black Panther movie. And the thing is that at that university, they didn't have a Black history course of any kind. Nothing. You would think at a university they would have Black history. And what I find out is that it has, if our school system is failing us, we fail as a nation. If we're not putting that history, the truth of Black history in our books and everything, we're failing as a nation. And that's what needs to be there. And I'm proud of all four of you guys being up there spreading the blues, and lady, because when I speak of ladies in blues, Ella Fitzgerald, Aretha Franklin, yes, I look at all of them and I tell them all about that. I got a daughter that's 40 years old, and she wants to get involved in singing and stuff. I said, go ahead and learn your history, get involved, learn about Aretha Franklin and stuff like that. So I think that education, putting that education out there and passing it on is one thing. And another thing, like you were talking about Big George playing in Forest Fairground Park, I remember that. But I also remember used to have Afro Day in the park. It used to be every month. The major thing is we got to stop being our own enemies too, because there's a mindset that says if you go in the Black neighborhood, you're going to get killed. If you go in the Black neighborhood, you're going to get shot. I live in North St. Louis. I've been in there for years. I grew up there. And we got to stop letting the design and the mental design destroy things, because like I've seen North St. Louis just crumble down. And it's not because of Black people, it's by design. It's by redlining and a bunch of other things that need to stop. And like I was saying before, these walls that have been put up to stop things from happening need to be torn down. Yes, and until we tear those walls down, nothing will change. And that's what we're here for. Do. And that's what we're here for. We try to also got to educate our people too.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you, brother.
Let's go to our Facebook, please.
Yeah, we have a lot of statements kind of like in support and appreciation of this panel and what y'all are saying. Jermaine Campbell is watching on Facebook Live. He says stuff like this helps so much to unite us in a powerful way. Social media can be a strong tool. I'm so incredibly inspired right now to hear what the panelists are touching on. Talk about how you all reach out to connect folks.
Well,
can you do?
What we do is we pick up the phone and say, how you doing? You call somebody and say, you want to come over to the house? I do a lot of people like that, your fans, and I give them my card. I say, I'm just moved into a new house. We're going to throw a party. Going to have the band playing. When we get everything situated, come on out to the house. And people said, okay, you just got to let people know that it's all right to say hello. We just be inviting, wear a smile on your face. I know sometimes I could wear my expression on my face, as I've been told. You can tell exactly how I feel sometimes. So most of the time I just try to be pleasant. And, when I see somebody coming, people have that little standoffish that they want to come, but they don't want to, and then I go to them. That's all. Yeah. That's
you have to be approachable, folks. especially as an artist. You have to be like very, very, very humble about what you do, because even if you are good, I mean, they know that, but like you don't have to like make it to the point where like you can't be approached at all. You have to be approachable at all times, no matter what. And that's what I think that's what he's talking about when he's saying that He wants to be. He's very down to earth, and he wants to be able to be liked as a person, not as a musician, but as also a person. You know what I mean? So like most people, they don't really care about what you feel on the inside. They care about what your gift is. Right. Mm-hmm. They don't really care about how you feel. Nobody actually picked up the phone and asked, "Hey, how you doing? How was your day? How did work go?" or something like. They ask you. Sometimes people ask you, "Hey, can you book? Hey, I'm your friend. Can you book me a gig or something like that?" I mean, it's like it makes no sense to me. Like most people, you just have to be approachable at all times, no matter what it is. But then again, stay humble at the same time.
Yeah, you got to be able to, like that boy makes great steak. That boy fries know how to catch and fry delicious fish. That's all it takes. Hey man, let's get together and have a fish fry. That's all it takes. It's just not a jack in the box. It's more of a human empathy there too. So you have to recognize that and come on and build bridges with us. It takes two to build a bridge. You can't build a bridge by yourself. It takes at least two people to build a bridge. So we have to come together and build this bridge together.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. We have to be approachable. And people always say to me, "Oh, you're so nice. And you don't look like you're ever sad." Well, I'm not, okay, because I have no reason to be. Right, exactly. And I'll tell you the same thing. If you have no reason to be, what's the frown for? Mm-hmm. I mean, it takes way more muscles to frown than it does to smile, you know. And I mean, I've always been a big fan of music. I mean, all kinds of music, from and that's why I kind of did that song for the Blues Society, because I just noticed how everybody did their certain type of blues, or how they like their certain type of R&B, or even hip hop. And everybody likes stuff differently. It's fine. If we all can come together and say, "Hey, I love that music. Hey, what do you listen to? Oh, I like that." I mean, just to a common ground to come together. And music is that common ground. Love is that common ground. And if we show love on our face, you'd be surprised how much love we get back.
It's something.
Allison, do we have any?
Yeah, so we've been getting a lot of feedback on these conversations as they go along. And one thing that we've heard from people, but they're maybe afraid to address or reticent to address in this kind of forum, is especially from white musicians that feel like they have done the homework and they want to honor the roots of this music. They want to play respectfully. They want to pay homage. How do they do that? They want a roadmap for how to do that. And I know that's difficult. You can't say, well, you can play this song, but you can't play that song. Well, and I'm not sure that that's exactly...
There's no roadmap to black culture. I mean, it just... Yeah. Okay, imagine if I go to China and I immerse myself in their culture and I take on the music and I tell them, well, I know everything about you except me. They don't have to, because it's a unique story to them. Now, I could come along and say, well, I like it. Can I help move it along, or can I help expose more people to it? But I just can't come along and take somebody's culture and just outright claim that it's mine. And that's what a lot of these white artists do. What I tell them, remember when that happened up there in Charleston? Well, the guy hit that young lady and killed her in the car. Remember our president said there was good people on all sides? Well, we had a debate about that on Facebook. One of the artists said, well, there are good people on both sides, and I see it all the way around. I see what everybody has to say. Well, how can you do that? There's only one way to see it. And the black story is just our story. It's not your story to add, divide, subtract. You could tell it if you tell it right. You can come play the blues all night long. But if you just gonna play the blues and then the moment a black man or black woman stand up and speak for their people, and you tell me to shut up, well then I tell you, stop playing black folks' music. And this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a little fragility problem out of these musicians. I'm serious. Y'all laughing. Y'all should follow my stuff on Facebook. If you really want to get exposed, like this is nothing. Like it really gets deep on those posts because people come out the woodworks.
Oh man,
like roaches. One of my best friends, I call him every day, don't I? If we'd call each other, the call gonna happen before 8 o'clock every morning. He's a white conservative, 20 years on the police force, voted for Donald Trump, but he's my friend. Because we able to talk. I'm able to hear his story. He's able to hear mine. But by we being each other's friends, we don't have that animosity that comes with telling the truth, laying it on the table. Now, there's some direct things he say I don't like, but I know I'm going to be frank. Even though my name Marquise, I'm going to be very frank with him. And I'm going to let him know how I feel. And then he said, well, Knox, he said, damn, I should have voted for Bernie Sanders. Then that's when I know I'm making the change. When the man starts saying, well, wait a minute, I need this for my wife, her health care. We paying $700, $800, $900 a month. Well, we need certain changes for ourselves. Then that's where the story come together. That's the only way you can tell the black story. If you're willing to tell the truth and let me or let us tell our story about being interrupted. You ain't got to throw your hands in the air or pardon me or excuse me, but there's no comma. There's nothing. When we say it, it's a statement. It's a period. When they said, you here in America, y'all black, well, they didn't register at first. They come back and make the 13th Amendment. Then the folks say, well, wait a minute, that didn't register. Then they would come back and we asked for accommodation law. That did not work because we were asking folks, can we come sit at your counter and eat a 25-cent hamburger? We pay $15, $20, $25, go to McDonald's and still pick the burger up on the side of the building. Ain't nobody ever said nothing. Think about it. We think we really changing something. So until they can immerse themselves in this and think like that and feel like that, but you can't feel it if it doesn't happen to you. If I never hit you in your eye, you don't know what it feels like to be hit in the eye. And nobody ever whip you day in and day out. I learned something called productivity. They said when they first brought the slaves over, it was really relaxed at first until they put the overseer, AKA manager, then they started whooping them. They said, oh, wait a minute, we whoop them, give them 2 licks. How they pick 50 more pounds of cotton a day. By the mid-1800s, you pick 100 more. By the time my grandmother was coming up, in the 40s, they were picking 600 and 700 pounds of cotton a day per person. And nobody was whooping them because it was already instilled in the man. Nobody was beating them. They was out there beating each other. Hook shit out. So it was a race to the bottom. So until they get that point, no.
Sounds like Carter G. Woodson. You know, you condition a person in their way in which they think, you get into their psychology, then you don't have to. Right. They continue to. Yeah. Okay.
I was going to say real quick, too,
okay,
Dr.
then we're going to
wrap
wrap
up. Quick, but also to that last Facebook question, basically, long story short, as well, invest. If some of you guys are still kind of on the fence, like, oh, man, I hear what Marquise saying, but I'm still confused for some of the white artists that's trying to understand how to play, I'm telling you, I'll be simple. I'll say it in layman's terms. Invest. You better invest in the culture. You better learn about the culture. You better go out here and you better stand right next to shoulder, elbow to elbow, willing to bust your knuckles and get dirty for not only the blues, but for the culture, for all of our transgressions, all of our struggles. You have to be willing to stand there with us. And I'm not telling you to go buy you a Black Lives Matter shirt to show. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you just to put the work in. Put the work in with us. Put the work in with us. Understand the culture. Be a part of the culture that you are playing. Because if you're not going to be a part of the culture that you're playing, you're not doing nothing to preserve these roots. You ain't doing nothing but standing on my roots. And what happened when you stand on roots? They die.
You'd be like some of our people going to the Black Panther movement. When he just talk about culture, you wear West African attire to something that's taking place in East Africa, because we don't understand anything about culture. We just think it's just a blur. It's because you're black, or because you're something that is, it's all one thing. Russia and Europe, but they damn sure don't want no parts of Germany. No more than they export some oil or give it to them. So that's what the blues is like. We can have a relationship together. You can play this music. You can play it, but you got to be willing to stay in lock and step. When that means when we get beat, be like Bernie Sanders. Don't be like Hillary. Don't show up in the 70s. Show up. That man was during the 60s. They used black people against this man. What's the representative? Representative Lewis. He said, I've been knowing him all along. How, man? Don't take our story. Don't take the struggle. That's why I talk about feminism, going back to the blues. Don't take the black woman brutality and equate it to the white woman problem that she has with her husband. That is some European monarchy crap going on with white love. It don't happen with black love like that. We get in the bed and the bed is equal. Ain't no this my side, your side, baby. I'm gonna put my leg over there. You put your leg over here. It's not when we go out, you represent me, you better be informed and you're gonna show the people I got a good wife at home. We don't do that crap. But it's in our culture, it's so embedded on black folks. A little bit, I see some older black guys be having them ways I know we were not raised up on. Some of these young fellas got ways I know what we were not taught this at home. If I'd have said anything to my mama right now, my mama still would put one of my, 2 or 3 or 4 of my teeth on the floor right now.
Okay, so I know we're just a little bit beyond time, but as part of our wrap-up of this 3-part conversation series, I wanted to do something special as a part of the closing of this conversation today. So, looking around the room filled with you all as participants, now you get a chance to help us to wrap up. I want to start in the front row. Anyone, if you can just think of 1 or 2 words that you have learned from this conversation. And for those of you, some of you I've seen for each and every one of our 3 conversations, but the point is I want to hear from you. So just stand up and we'll get a mic up to you. Just give me 1 or 2 words quickly, and I'm going to go through the audience, starting with the front row, then the second row, then the third, and I'm going to go all the way through to the back, because I think this is important for us to hear from you, okay, as part of our wrapping this up. So anyone, starting front row, anyone, 1 or 2 words that you learned from today? Quickly, 1 or 2 words. I'm not talking about sentences, I'm talking about words now. Let's keep it simple, you all. 1 or 2 words. Okay.
So much.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Education is key.
Education is key. I'll deal with that. That's okay. Someone else on second row. Let's go.
Respect the people who've lived the blues.
All right. Let's go. Keep going.
A similar sentiment. Respect and honor our heritage.
All right. Let's keep going.
Learn and understand.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Unity.
Okay.
This is what blues really is.
All right. Let's keep going. Third row. Let's keep moving it.
Go beyond the performance.
All right. All right. Come on.
Educate and invest.
All right. Let's go.
Build bridges.
All right.
Community investment.
Okay. Going back to the back rows now. Let's keep going.
Blues is art. Art is communication. We must listen.
Okay, let's go. Keep going.
Continue to love everyone.
Okay.
Listen and learn.
All right, let's go.
Connect.
Okay.
To show what you value, put your money in it.
All right. Let's keep going. We got somebody else here on the sidewalls as we keep moving toward the back.
Education and perseverance, I think.
Okay.
The blues is deeper than music.
All right.
Study your history.
Okay.
Shoulder to shoulder.
Okay.
Invest in perspective.
Okay. Let's keep going.
Respect, empathy, and love.
Okay.
Eracism.
All right. There you go. See you on your. Hey.
Don't just stand under the tree, nourish it.
Okay.
Relationships.
Okay.
Takes two to build a bridge.
All right. And is that it? Did we make it toward the back? Do we want to hear from our people in the booth, the sound booth? Do you all want to add something as technicians? I know you all have been here from the beginning.
This was very informative.
Okay.
He learned a lot tonight.
It's going to take love to evolve.
Okay. All right. Well, everyone, if you could please stand up, give yourself a hand, and then our panelists.